Ever wondered how safe your personal information is in this digital age? The question may seem simple, but the answer is complex and ever-evolving. Let's delve into the world of data security, a realm that is as essential as it is intricate in our increasingly connected digital era. Data security is about safeguarding our digital information from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction. It's about protecting our digital identities, our finances, and our privacy. But why is it so important? Well, imagine your personal information, like your social security number or financial account details, falling into the wrong hands. The consequences can be devastating, ranging from identity theft to significant financial loss. In an ideal world, our data would be under lock and key, untouchable by those with ill intent. However, the reality is quite different. Data breaches, instances where unauthorized individuals gain access to secure information, are happening with alarming regularity across various sectors. From retail and healthcare to finance and even government institutions, no sector is immune. Each data breach leaves in its wake a trail of victims. Individuals who trusted companies with their sensitive information, only to find that trust broken. The fallout from such breaches can be far-reaching and long-lasting. The victims may face years of battling identity theft, financial instability, and a myriad of other problems. The increasing number of data breaches is a stark reminder of the importance of robust data security. It highlights the need for stringent measures to protect our personal information, and moreover, it underscores the need for accountability and redress when those measures fail. So let's dive into a recent example of a data breach that affected thousands of individuals and resulted in a significant settlement. As we explore this case, remember the importance of data security, not just for companies, but for each one of us, as individuals living in this digital age. In the world of debt collection, one name recently made headlines for the wrong reasons: Convergent Outsourcing. This debt collection agency found itself in the eye of a storm, facing a significant data breach. But what exactly happened? In a nutshell, sensitive data belonging to countless Americans fell into the wrong hands. This wasn't just any data. We're talking about social security numbers and financial account information. The kind of stuff you wouldn't want anyone, let alone potential fraudsters, to get their hands on. The extent of the breach was far-reaching, impacting a significant number of individuals. The compromised data included not just the basic identifiers, but also other sensitive information. The breach exposed the vulnerability of data held by such agencies, revealing the potential for misuse of personal information. Imagine for a moment the potential repercussions, the financial implications for the individuals affected, the possible identity theft, the misuse of personal information, the potential for harassment. It's an alarming scenario, isn't it? The fallout from this data breach was far from insignificant. It wasn't something that could be swept under the rug. The public outcry and the legal implications were considerable. In the end, Convergent Outsourcing had to face the music for their failure to prevent the breach. This breach wasn't taken lightly, leading to a significant settlement. The aftermath of a data breach can be a lengthy and complicated process. In Convergent's case, it led to a substantial settlement. A data breach not only exposes vulnerabilities in a company's security system, but it also uncovers a timeline of events that lead to a settlement. When the breach was first discovered, it sent shockwaves throughout the company. The realization that sensitive data, including social security numbers and financial account information, had been compromised was a harsh wake-up call. This was the trigger that initiated a series of events, leading to the eventual settlement. The next step in the timeline was the legal proceedings. Class action lawsuits, which enable groups of individuals to collectively seek redress for grievances against companies, were filed. This is a common response to data breaches, as they often result in substantial damages for those affected. In this case, the lawsuit accused Convergent of not only failing to prevent the breach, but also of harassing phone calls. The legal proceedings are a crucial part of the settlement timeline, as they determine the nature and amount of the settlement. They are also an opportunity for the company to defend itself, although in this case, Convergent did not admit wrongdoing. The final step in the timeline was the settlement itself. In Convergent's case, this amounted to $2.45 million. This substantial sum was intended to compensate those affected by the breach. The settlement also included a provision for one-time payments of up to $11,500 for eligible Americans. But the timeline doesn't end with the announcement of the settlement. There are still steps to be taken, including filing a claim by a specified deadline, in this case, June 19, 2024. Only then will the payments be distributed if the settlement is approved by the court. But how exactly do these settlements work? And who is eligible for compensation? The answer to these questions is complex and depends on a variety of factors, including the specifics of the breach and the terms of the settlement. But one thing is clear: the aftermath of a data breach is a long and complicated process, with the settlement timeline being a crucial part of it. Settlements are a common outcome in data breach cases, but what do they entail? Well, a settlement is an agreement that resolves a dispute between two parties. In the context of data breaches, it often involves a company agreeing to compensate individuals affected by the breach. Consider the case of Convergent Outsourcing, a debt collection agency. A data breach occurred, compromising Social Security numbers, financial account information, and other sensitive data. To address the issue, Convergent Outsourcing agreed to a settlement without admitting any wrongdoing. Now let's talk numbers. The total amount of the Convergent Outsourcing settlement is $2.45 million. This sum will be divided among the individuals affected by the breach. Each person may be eligible to receive a one-time payment, with the maximum amount reaching up to $11,500. But what about the terms of the settlement? Well, it addresses not only the data breach but also claims of harassing phone calls and a failure to prevent the breach. In addition, it offers compensation for both ordinary data breach losses and extraordinary losses related to identity theft and misuse of personal information. This is typically how a settlement works. It's a way to resolve disputes and compensate those affected without going through the lengthy and costly process of litigation. This is why settlements are often the preferred route for companies facing class action lawsuits, which allow groups of individuals to collectively seek redress for grievances. So, who can claim a part of this settlement, and how can they do it? Well, that's a question for our next scene. Stay tuned to learn more about the process and what you need to do to claim your share of a settlement. If you were affected by the Convergent Outsourcing data breach, you might be wondering how to claim your part of the settlement. Let's break down the process for you. First and foremost, it's important to understand the eligibility criteria. To be eligible for this settlement, you need to be an American who was affected by the data breach involving Convergent Outsourcing. This breach compromised sensitive data such as Social Security numbers, financial account information, and other personal details. Now, let's talk about the claim form. This is the document that you need to submit to lay claim to your share of the settlement. It's a relatively straightforward form, but it does require some specific information. You'll need to provide your personal details, along with documentation that proves you were affected by the breach. This could be a notification from Convergent Outsourcing about the breach, or evidence of identity theft or misuse of your personal information that occurred as a result of the breach. You can submit your claim form either online or by mail. If you choose to mail your claim, make sure it's addressed to the claims administrator. This is the entity responsible for overseeing the distribution of the settlement funds. Now, let's move on to the deadline. The clock is ticking on this one. Class members must file their claims by June 19, 2024. Any claims submitted after this date will not be considered. So it's crucial that you act promptly to ensure you don't miss out. And what happens after you submit your claim? Well, once the settlement is approved by the court, payments will be distributed to eligible claimants. This is not an immediate process, so you'll need to be patient. However, rest assured that class action lawsuits like this one are designed to provide redress for groups of individuals who have been wronged. And that's how individuals can seek redress for their losses from the Convergent Outsourcing data breach. Data breaches are a stark reminder of the importance of data security in our increasingly digital world. As we wrap up our discussion, Let's take a moment to reflect on the key points that we've covered today. We began by understanding the sheer significance of data security, especially in an era where our lives are deeply intertwined with the digital world. Our personal information, our financial details, our social connections, all are stored in digital formats, making them vulnerable to breaches. We then delved into the specifics of the data breach involving Convergent Outsourcing, a debt collection agency. This incident resulted in the compromise of Social Security numbers, financial account information, and other sensitive data, thereby affecting countless individuals. The timeline of the settlement was another crucial point we examined. It was a long process that culminated in a multi-million-dollar settlement, offering eligible claimants compensation for both ordinary and extraordinary losses related to the breach. We discussed the settlement itself, underscoring the fact that it addressed not just the data breach, but also the claims of harassing phone calls and failure to prevent the breach. It was a stark reminder that companies are held accountable for their actions, or lack thereof, in protecting our personal data. Finally, we walked through the process of how affected individuals could file a claim, either online or by mail, to receive their share of the settlement. This is a testament to the power of collective action, as class action lawsuits enable groups of individuals to seek redress for grievances against companies. In conclusion, it's important to remember that your personal information is more than just data. It's a part of your identity, your life, and its security should never be an afterthought. Data breaches, as unfortunate as they are, serve as reminders of the importance of vigilance and awareness in the digital age. Always remember, your personal information is valuable, and its security should be a priority. Stay safe and stay informed.